Sonic Super Digest 12. So we see someone who works for Gun and looks really distractingly similar to Samus in the Zero suit say that given the debacle on Angel Island, the Gun commander wants to review Snively's history with Gun. Snively says he already did this years ago with him, and he doesn't see why. I'm impressed that there's any kind of consequences whatsoever with the debacle on Angel Island. Like, the actually logical thing happened, and Gun actually found out about it, and they in fact weren't the ones who wanted to take the Master Emerald. But if even a character in the story doesn't see why this is happening, then it really shouldn't have been written. Like, he's just gonna tell them stuff that they already know. I don't even see why this is a framing device. Having this framing device just wastes an entire page on us. Also, her name is Madonna, but since she doesn't have a red dress or want to date Sonic, it's not really Madonna. And she's more like Topaz, if anything. All I'm seeing her as is Samus. The annoying thing is, because this is all Snively talking about his past to someone else who's part of Gun, for all I know, he might be lying when he says that Eggman was a co-worker years ago, and when he came upon his plans for world domination, Eggman forced him to join him as a mechanic. He forced him? At least that's original. Snively says that he planned on spying on Eggman and escaping when he could, and reporting back to Gun. And he says that Eggman was conspiring with Ixis to overthrow the king. I might have asked this already, but why did Ixis think he needed Eggman's help instead of just killing Eggman? He's a powerful wizard. Why did they shunt off the backstories of these characters to Sonic Super Digest? Oh, because the staff hates Sadie M and its characters. That has to be why, because there's no other explanation. And it turns out that Eggman's plan back then had been convincing the king that the United Federation was planning to secretly invade his kingdom. Huh? At least that's original. And it kind of makes sense because the inhabitants of that kingdom are humans, so the humans warring with Mobotropolis is like the Overlanders doing so in Archie. It just feels really underwhelming and anticlimactic that there is no tension because they completely removed the Great War idea. Like, he wasn't warring with the humans. It was all just a fake, imaginary thing. But at least this is original. Eggman had claimed that he had opposed the invasion plan and went to protect the king, so he was given complete access to the royal land and resources. And I guess the reason the king didn't check with the United Federation was because he would assume that they would lie to him anyways, so... And Snively says that he was looking for the right time to warn the king. He should say that Eggman was always around him, and so he could never warn him. Because otherwise, this seems hard to believe. Like, couldn't he have snuck into the king's bedroom chamber when Eggman was asleep if he's in the castle so much? Or left a note for the king? Couldn't he have just escaped at midnight and gone back to Gun? In fact, if he really hates Eggman, there's always the plot hole of why he doesn't kill him in his sleep. So he clearly didn't actually care. And I'm guessing Gun sees him as so valuable that the people working there aren't gonna bother questioning him on this. After all, he might just deny anyway, so what's the point? Even the wiki itself says that he's spreading lies. So, doesn't that mean that the whole story is pointless? It doesn't have any value to it because he's not even telling the truth? Fuck it. I hate that this issue isn't anywhere online. I guess everyone hated it so much because of that they wanted to fade into obscurity. Well, okay then. I get the message. It's not worth talking about if it's nothing but lies and stuff we already know from Archie. This issue is by Ian Flynn. It ruins the story that Snively telling someone else's past if he's just lying the whole time. Or if he's just misleading them the whole time. And not telling all of the truth. Which we know is the case because he had a panel where he had a world domination plan in Sonic Universe. Without that one panel, this would have been intriguing because I'd be willing to give this idea a chance and take it seriously. It would have been interesting if he was telling the truth. But this isn't a writer who wants to write stuff that's interesting. Being creative would be taking a risk. He wants to just take what was already written and keep it familiar and boring. So Snively's still pure evil, when him just being forced to work for Eggman, and only doing so reluctantly, would have been a refreshing new take on him. He already gave him a beard and had him work for Gunn. It's so frustrating that he wouldn't just go one step further. It's not like he's 100% loyal to the way he normally is anyways, because that's why he's not still working for Eggman. Though, of course, I'm happy with the fact that he's not still working for Eggman, because he was miserable about it, and that was his whole character arc. I'd like if he was telling the truth, but because that's not really the case, the story's worthless. It would actually be more valuable to see a story that was all just a dream, because at least that would have the potential for a bunch of creativity, because the writer could write anything he wants. This is stuff we already know. Like, he worked for Eggman, we know that. The games happened, we know that. Based on reading the wiki, literally the only thing else there's to say about the story is that Snively hid within an egg robo and tried to steal the Master Emerald from Knuckles with the help of Mechasonic, but failed. I guess he told it that he was doing it under Eggman's orders. Knuckles already said he tried to take the Master Emerald. He said he had to stay and keep Eggman's armies in check rather than leave, too. I wouldn't have had anything to say about that anyways, because it's not anything surprising for him, so it's not super interesting, and there's no plot hole to point out either. And I'm proud to say that it's not like I didn't try to buy the issue. It's not like I didn't try to buy the issues that I had to talk about by reading a wiki, because I did. It's literally impossible to even buy this issue. It's always not available. It's just like the issue that has the Sonic Dash adaptation in it. I tried to buy it, I went to every site I saw, and it was all just worthless previews. So I've got no reason to be ashamed, because I tried. So I guess this is another one of those stories that won't be preserved, and will fade away in the sands of time. Well, that's what happens to stories that aren't interesting. There's a reason that even with the dark age of Archie Sonic, people cared enough to put it somewhere.